Welcome back, everybody. We are doing the paper mache mask project, and as you can see, my turkey head there looks a whole lot different. So we're going to talk about 3 different techniques now that we're getting to the paint. That's kind of the fun part. We're getting into putting the details on. And so what I've done is, if you remember, I put a whole seal coat on of black, and that sealed all the paper and put that latex waterproof coat on it. So technically now it should be waterproof. So now I've got this really weird texture with this turkey head and the waddle of the turkey here hanging here. And what I did first, and you can see all the splattering, is I took a brush like this. It doesn't have to be a very small brush, and I did a wash technique. And what that is I had this color here, and I put a little bit of paint in a mixing tray. In this case, I just used the lid. And I put some water in that, and I got it really wet, a lot of water. And then I just kind of went through and coated it vigorously, we'll say. And what that does is, if you already have a texture, and you can see here, that's why I chose black for the first one. What that does is that lets the paint settle into the details. So up here on top, you can still see some of the black, but it sinks down in, and the wash, or the really wet paint with a lot of water, is a good way to show detail if you've put detail into your mats, because it'll kind of seep down in the cracks and just kind of dry there. Now, it dries lighter than what it looks when you put it on. So this was actually a couple of coats of what we would call a wash technique. Okay, now the next technique is just simply painting. So I've got a couple of brushes here. I'm going to use this brush, and I'm just going to go back over and put the black back into the beak. I eventually will put some detail over that. So all I'm going to do on that is that's just regular painting. I've got a little bit of paint on the brush, and I'm just going to carefully, and you can see that covers really well. So I'm just going to go back in here, and now I'm going to take my time, and I want to get underneath that waddle. That's this thing here. At least I think that's what it's called. And so I'm being kind of careful. And I want that beak to be black, and then I'm going to put some detail on top of it. Now, I'll go back here too, and same thing on the front here. And I'm just being careful. And so when you're just putting on regular paint like that, you want to be careful. Okay, so. And most of us have done painting like that. Now, I'm going to just put the paintbrush in my water for now, because I don't have, I'm going to go wash it out in just a little bit. We talked about washing our brushes out. So now this is one of my favorite kinds. Now I've got a paintbrush. The bristles are a little bit stiff, but it's all clean. There's no paint in there. And we're going to do what I call a dry brush technique. And this is how you can add blends or highlights. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get just a little bit of this really pale whitish pink on my paintbrush. And I'm going to wipe most of it out. And I can even do it on the paper of the table. And I've just got barely just a little bit. And it's kind of like I got a dry brush, basically. That's why it's called that. And I'm just going to hit the top. And I'm going to use this like a highlight. And I'm just going to hit the tops of these shapes where I want to highlight it. Now, I've still got quite a bit of paint on there. So I'm going to hit most of the top where I'm going to highlight it. Hopefully this mask doesn't fall down here. Okay, and now as the paint starts to go out of the brush, now I'm going to start to blend the edges in a little bit. And what this does is this has, you can shade this way with paint. So now what I'm doing is I'm bringing out the highlights of this gross looking texture. I think it's gross. Maybe if I was another turkey. Now I'm going to just kind of dip it in there again. And I gotta be careful when I go back in because I might have a lot of paint on there and I don't wanna have, you know, one spot be way brighter than the other spot. Okay, you see, and that, just like the wash technique, it kind of dries a little bit less than what it looks when you first put it on. You see how that kind of adds a shading dimension to it, kind of like a highlight. And so I'm gonna go in with this light pink color, and I've got another color that I'm gonna use. It's gonna kind of like a light blue. This takes a little bit of patience. Here, let's do some of this here. So I'm gonna just put a little bit, and what I wanna do is I wanna hit the raised spots on this. And then I wanna leave, remember how I put that wash on there, and that bright pink, that went down into the creases. And so this light color, I wanna hit all the raised areas. Look at that. See how that's adding like a really nice texture to it? And it's giving it kind of what we call a form to it. It's helping to, now the viewers would, you know, anybody that sees this, they're gonna see that, and it's just gonna look like it's even more shaped than what it already is. It adds a lot of shape to your mask. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a lot of this to do. So I'm gonna let you guys go, and you can, hopefully you dry brush or your wash technique or however you wanna paint. Good luck and have fun with that.